ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Vet Talk, Dick Liberty, all things American. Who do we have on the show today?
On the Vet Talk show today, we have a very special guest, Mr. Jay Van Schelt. Now, Mr. Schelt is the Chief Executive Officer and Lead Mentor Pathfinder for something called the Harmonetiks Project. Now, this Harmonetiks Project is dealing with a 2.0 easy breathe method that's calm to empower individuals towards a balanced and fulfilling lives. Mr. Van Schelt is also a Navy veteran. So we're going to ask him how this project has helped him deal with the copes of being a veteran and the things he dealt with during his time in service. Without further ado, Mr. Van Schelt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dick. Great to see you. I'm here in San Diego right now. I'm a Navy vet, a couple of years in. Maybe give you a little bit of my story and how Harmonetiks got me here. You know, after a couple of years in, I resigned my commission. I was moved to go to a monastery, and at the end of 8 months, the monk said, "You're too gregarious for this lifestyle. You should find another way to serve God." So they sent me off. They told me I was loud, I was obnoxious, get the hell out. My youth was a pretty messed up. Found sobriety for a while of 35 years, then figured out that I wasn't really it wasn't about sobriety, it was about PTS, right?
Right.
I found martial arts. I started in the martial arts early in life, and I wound up in the late 80s opening a chain of martial arts schools in Connecticut. I had 10 of them that I owned or operated, and I reached the level of 6th-degree black belt in Shaolin Kempo. And at the end of that whole period, I got hit in the head and paralyzed from the neck down for a very short period of time, but I was injured badly. I couldn't even do anything, and ballooned up from 210 pounds or 100, to 280. And I stayed there for almost, 30 years. I left that job and became one of my teachers was a director of the Mind Body Institute at Jupiter Medical Center, a guy named John Fritz. He helped me with my pain, and I learned a whole bunch of stuff to work with stress and pain management. And that's when I met the gentleman who created Harmonetiks. His name is Jeffrey Zimmerman. So having pain, having PTS, different situations in life, treating it with all kinds of things, not things the doctors told you to get to, but just alcohol and drugs. And I was able through these practices to get my emotions under control, and my pain. Fast forward 25 years after working. Go ahead, Dick.
I was going to say, how did Harmonetiks change that? How did it help facilitate that for you?
When you do the Harmonetiks practice, it's like a combination lock. Okay, we learn how to align our body, have an intention to connect with the energy of the earth, which is Chinese medicine is yin energy, which my understanding of it is it's magnetism, right? Modern neuroscience says that we have this energy that comes out of the earth, and it comes into our body through a place called the kidney 1 meridian. And when you align your body correctly, it's kind of like putting the phone on a battery, like a magnet. And if the phone's, we've all put our phone on a magnet, and the magnet charges the phone. The phone doesn't do anything, it just sits there. And the energy of the magnet charges the battery. Well, the body works similarly according to Chinese medicine, and now modern neuroscience kind of agrees. But if you don't have the battery just right on the magnet, we've all had that happen. We put the phone on the magnet, we think we got it, and we wake up in the morning and the battery's dead. Man, it wasn't on right? Well, if you don't have your body correctly aligned, there's no charging happening. So what Dr. Zimmerman had synthesized was a way to align the body properly. Now, when I learned it 25 years ago, all he taught me to do was to find really the center point of my balance between my toes and heels. And as soon as I did that, my nervous system relaxed a little bit. Now, I used that for 20 years myself, and I used it in the Mind Body Institute for 5 or 6 years, training everybody from CEOs to people in pain, because I was in pain and I figured out a way to deal with my pain using both Dr. Zimmerman's approach plus what they would call mindfulness practices. I was a martial artist, I've meditation, I've chased this stuff around the world. So anyway, fast forward 25 years, I'm retiring from my corporate job at a company called The Music People. I was the operations manager and the customer service manager of a $75 million company. I retired in January of 2023, thinking I was going to go be a glass artist and a bonsai guy. And a month later, I saw Dr. Zimmerman at a event where we were raising money for a local guy who was cancer. Both trying to serve, right? Again, as veterans do, we try to serve our community one way or another. And Dr. Zimmerman said, I said to him, hey, Jeff, I haven't seen you in 25 years. What are you doing? He says, Harmonetics. I said, wait a minute. 25 years later now, I will say, and I'll send you this picture, Dick, so you can see it. There's a picture of me on that day. I weighed 280 pounds. I was a big fat man. And I still did Tai Chi and I still played, but I was injured. I was in pain all the time. So I meet him and he says, Harmonetics. I say, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, first I'm like, still, that's it? He says, well, what else would I do? It's his life. This man's life was Harmonetics. And we could talk about Jeffrey in a minute because he was a remarkable human. But so I brought him to some friends that I was working with at the time, and they had a thing called momentum learning. I said, Jeff, you need to meet Ken. Ken, meet Jeff, work together on this thing, help. Jeffrey needed to make a few bucks to pay Ken. So I brought my wife, who had been 10 years in pain with fibromyalgia, back pain. She had been on morphine, hated it, moved to opioids, hated that, switched to smoking marijuana, which worked, but she was stoned all the time, which is not bad, but it's, it's not what she wanted to be, but it managed the pain. Well, I took her to him. He did his one-on-one practice, which we call now Harmonetics 1.0, and you mentioned 2.0, right? Well, in a week, she was out of pain for 3 days. Then it came back. And I said, did you do that Harmonetics thing that he taught you? No. I'm a husband. I don't say anything. We go to another treatment. She gets 4 days out of pain. And that continued for 3 weeks with a little bit more out of pain every week. The last week was before we were going on a family trip to Florida. 55 hours down and back in a car. I was like, my wife is going to be in pain. It's not going to be fun. I leave to go to the cardiologist in the morning at 9 o'clock after waking her up, and she's like, nah, I'm in pain. I come back and I'm thinking she's still going to be in bed. I open the door. There she is, ready to go. I'm out. I said, okay, now I've been 25 years. I'd had cancer. I'd had all these different challenges in my life. I had given up all these practices. I was just working. I wasn't doing the Tai Chi a lot. I wasn't doing anything. I'd given up. Nothing was helping. My wife comes out and we're backing down the driveway. And I said, what changed from when I woke you up this morning? Because I've never seen her get in pain and then be out of pain an hour later. I've never seen that unless she'd be stoned. And she wasn't stoned. She was, right. And she said, oh, I got up and I did that Harmonetics thing that Jeff taught me. Well, that day we saw him. I said, what are you holding back on me, pal? You taught it to me 26 years ago and I'm still in pain. She's out of pain. What's going on? And he had added a little piece of how you find this earth surge point, is what he called it. And it's a Chinese term, which is getting the phone exactly right on the battery. It's aligning the foot, the base of the pelvis, and the top of the head. And then breathing and using your awareness to to notice where the tension is so you can relax it. It's very simple. he gave me this little piece, and then we drove down to Florida and came back 55 hours. She was out of pain the entire time. And when I got back, my friend said, Jay, Jeffrey's got too many things to do. You kind of understand this. Can you help him to figure it out? So I spent the next 3 months with him developing what we call now the easy breath.
Okay.
We tried about 3 or 4 different iterations of how we were going to share it with people. And after it was November of the year, we had settled on this 6-week protocol. And, when I meet people, they ask me, can you explain the easy breath to me? And I say, no, I can't, but I can show you. And I make them stand up and I tell them, take a breath. And they take a breath and I ask them to feel that breath. And then I have them move their body forward and back to find the midpoint of their foot. And then I invite them to take another breath. And they take that breath and I ask them, did it change? And almost invariably, everybody says, yes, it did. Well, that's their parasympathetic nervous system coming on, right? And then we go to the ball of the foot in the midpoint, and we find the sweet spot, which is where your kidney 1 meridian is on the base of your foot. It's somewhere in the middle between the ball of the foot and the middle of the foot. And once you're on that, that's the phone being on the magnet. And you just take a few breaths then, and what people start to feel is they start to feel their nervous system just naturally relax. And then we teach them over a 6-week period, an hour a week, 15 breaths 3 times a day. That's the commitment. And we teach them this. And at the end of the 6-week protocol, we've used the brain's neuroplasticity to change every out breath into an opportunity to relax and enter into this ventral vagal state, which is the rest, relaxation, recovery. The other side of it is fight, flight. And then the opposite of rest, relax, recover is freeze, right? So biologically, and I ran a Mind Body Institute. I was well trained by a guy who ran a Mind Body Institute at a medical center. So I have all this medical knowledge. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I was an ordained minister in 2000. I used that as a way to say that what I was doing was spiritual healing with people. And, it's kind of like what I synthesize now is we're all born with 2 modes, right? When you get a brand new baby and you hold it in your hands and it's quiet, they kind of suck you into the wonder that they are. They're living without thought. They're just in wonder. But then a little while later, they poop themselves. They get scared. They're hungry. And what do? They can't tell you. They tighten up every muscle in their body and they scream as loud as they can. But if you take care of them, they go back to wonder. And what happens over time, especially for us veterans, is we start to lose the wonder and we're just seem to be left with the screaming. And that's PTS, right? So when people go into this mode, they touch the wonder again because they're activating their parasympathetic nervous system.
Say, how many veterans have you shown this to and have taken part of this easy journey with you?
So far, since we launched in November, we've had almost 100 veterans go through the program. Okay. We've done 2 full programs, which is really 26 weeks, where they go in for 6 weeks to learn the easy breath. They take another 6 weeks for what we call the deepening, which is to take that easy breath practice and do it again and go deep into it and just feel it deeper. This is neurologically, we're creating a neurological pathway that's a preferred response.
Creating the habit of creating
exactly
as well.
The habit
causes friction.
And it takes 7 days to make a neurological pathway a habit. It takes 21 days to hardwire that habit. 3 to 6 months, it's a preferred response. And I know you have them because there's a song that you listened to when you were 13, 14, or 15, that when it still comes on the It was you and your friends. Maybe you were 16 when you first had a car, and you guys were in the car, you had that song on, and now when that same song comes on, you're back being 13 in your car, you're like, oh yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's a neurological pathway. Well, anytime a veteran or anybody goes through a series of stressors for longer than 30 days, they've got a hardwired response. Put somebody in that for 5 years, that's a rut. And they think they can't get out of it. But
So how can veterans
they
find
can.
you? How can
Well,
veterans find you? How can they take part of the Harmonetics and the Easy Breed method? And what's it cost them? How do they do this? Become part of your
well, there's no charge to veterans ever
okay.
for the whole program, all the way through to becoming a guide yourself. We have currently 5 guides. We took 17 veterans through this program. Once we did a bunch of veterans over the year, iterating till we got to this Easy Breath program. In November, we launched the program. We took 17 veterans through the program. First 17 got through the 6-week program, no problem. 7 of them went into the deepening. 5 of them went into the path of healing, which is a 90-hour training to become a guide, a certified guide, which we ended on the 20th of last month, which is part of why I'm here in California. There were 2 guides here, one a medic and one a guy who was a graduate of Texas Military Institute. He was the impetus for us coming out to California. So he kind of got grandfathered in because he had military training, but he missed Vietnam by about 6 months and was ready to go, but he didn't go, And so those 2 gentlemen are certified guides here in San Diego. We have another one in High Springs, Florida, one in North Carolina, in Raleigh, and another veteran up in Massachusetts.
Okay. So
in Pittsfield.
Could you take a moment and explain it to me? Like if I have an interest, and I think I do have an interest in this, I've worked with other physicians, White House physician before in the past on projects that are very similar to this, in dealing with the frequencies and things, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, and whatnot. Could you explain to me what I would expect if I said, hey, you know what? I'd like to be part of your cohort. I'd like to be one of the 20 years seeking to become your 8th guy in the state.
We have Zoom calls every week. I just launched a set this week. There's 3 of them. We're doing a call on Saturday morning, a live class here in San Diego, and 2 Zoom calls at 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. Pacific time here from San Diego. Now that cohort has already started. My team of 5 guides are available. They're all been trained. They're all ready. And what we're going to be launching is a series of introductory classes. They're a half-hour long. So there's a little bit of a, hey, this is what the program's about. And then an experience of what we call the Easy Breath, which is just this first experience. And if somebody was interested in understanding it, they can go and look at a half-hour lunch and learn that I did. That's on our YouTube channel, Harmonetiks Healing. And that is, I was invited so I'm here in San Diego at the InSpot, a community acupuncture clinic that does free acupuncture for veterans. They do the NADA protocol for free for veterans and first responders. And then if you get a script from your veteran, the VA for pain, you can come here and get 13 weeks of acupuncture, full acupuncture for free.
So right now where the veterans can get full acupuncture for free with this organization, the InSpot Acupuncture Center. That's correct?
Correct. Yeah, they just need it. They
just need a referral from their primary care physician at the VA?
They can come in and get the NADA protocol for free. That's ear acupuncture. But they want the whole product. They got to get a referral from their doctor. There's a way to do it. They have to say, this acupuncture center, this acupuncturist that goes on the script, and then he gets paid by the VA, and they get 13 sessions. And that will be recurring if they keep going back to the doctor. Now, one of the things that is interesting is I've been here for 3 months. I'm almost done. I've got 2 more weeks and then I go home. And I leave this program in the hands of a veteran and another gentleman. And the protocol, what's happened here is as I meet the veterans, I give them the easy breath. And I invite them to take a class. We were doing a live class, and I had some Zoom calls that they did. And over the 3 months, I've met probably 40 or 50 veterans. And these veterans who took it, they all gave me a pre-pain and stress level and post-pain and stress level. And aggregate them all together, 52% reduction in pain in an hour. 64% reduction in anxiety in an hour. I was invited to go to the Naval Air Station North Island to work with the VR-57, and that video of the half-hour lunch and learn I did with them is on our YouTube channel. So I've got a room full of reservists all floating and going, and again, I just asked them, how do you feel? And I got response was relax, calm, just all this cool stuff. It was a great day on the island, and they just loved me. And there I was actually saw, because one of the people that works in it, she is an acupuncturist here. Not an acupuncturist, she's an acupuncture client here. And I saw her just yesterday, and she said one of the guys is supposed to call us to come back out there, because we want to, our goal, our mission is veterans, their families, first responders. So any veteran, and I'm not talking just the veteran out, but the active duty, the reservists, the veteran, their families. That's always free.
Okay.
First responders and the rest of once we're really embedded in the veteran community, then those veterans, of course, will probably take care of the first responders as well. Because our goal as the project isn't just to heal the veteran, but to find those veterans that want to help veterans. When I was up in Canada, and I was
one question for you in relation to projects too. It seems like, because I know, and us both being veterans, that not every course of medical treatment works for every single veteran. So what piqued my interest in the easy breathe is the fact that is something, of course, Chinese medicine, whatnot, that can actually be tailored to the individual, because it is based off individual needs and requirements and alignments for your particular body structure. I think it's fantastic on what you're doing with that. And I think that it's definitely important to be able to empower the veterans to retrain these habits and share them with the family members, because sometimes that carryover in the miscommunication department kind of destroys all that as well. So that is fantastic. Have you found a balance between the acupuncture and the easy breathe technique? Because not all veterans, let's say, like needles or can tolerate needles versus one or the other. Do they kind of balance each other out?
Dr. Zimmerman's approach is no needles. Okay. He doesn't use needles. That's why he went to Japan and learned the blind acupuncture techniques. He actually, and I'm not going to, any acupuncturists who might see this, I'm going to say that this is not, I have no understanding of it other than it works for me. But Dr. Zimmerman would say that this is the basis of all acupuncture. When I was first teaching it, and I had some understanding of acupuncture because I've studied things like this, they were interesting. And I started talking about a meridian, and he said, no, don't talk about the meridians. We're not working on the meridians. We're working on the entire energy system. So there's, if you think of the energy like water, there's evaporation going up, and then there's rain coming down. And at all times, there's water going up and there's water coming down. We have the same thing in the ocean. You've got currents, and all those currents work because something's getting cold and something's getting hot. And without those, we'd all be dead. So Dr. Zimmerman says that when you harmonize the body, when you get the energy to flow, it'll naturally flow. And so there's 4 stages to how we learn this. First, we're looking at the yin energy, the charging energy of the body, charge the battery. And then we look at the yang energy of the body, which is expressing and getting things out. So we take things in, we move things out. If we don't, we have stagnation. Yeah. And then we go to the 3rd and 4th stage, which is up, including down, and down, including up, which is nothing more than thinking of it this way. If I'm doing a research project on traffic, I'm going to look at one side of the highway for a while. Then I'm going to look at the other side of the highway for a while. And then I'm going to look at both sides of the highway at the same time. So over 4 weeks, we teach these ways of breathing. And everything we learn about the program is in the first 10 minutes. And the rest of it is playing with it in different ways of attention. So we call these things the trellis of awareness. And intention, which is we're going to connect with one energy or another, or both. We're going to use our awareness to feel where are we tense and where can we relax. And then we're going to align. We're going to take an action to align or move a certain way. And those intention plus attention or awareness and action equals to a discovery. And what do we discover? We discover, one, that tension and flow can't be in the same place. Mm-hmm. If you're tense, your energy's not flowing. If you're relaxed too much, well, now you're not good either. It's kind of like tuning a guitar. Jeffrey, being a musician, says what we're doing, Jay, is we're really tuning the instrument. And then you can go play whatever you want. But if you're not tuning, you're not going to play well. So the whole idea is, as we work with this simple practice, and I was in pain for 40 years, and you would see me, try to stretch that pain out, and what I realized was tensing my muscles and then relaxing made me feel like I relaxed, but I really went back to the same point. As opposed to what we do in Harmonetics, which is a little bit of tension, and then you release. Mm-hmm. For instance, if you just take your head and move it over your pelvis and move forward and back, you'll feel the back muscles in your back go active. And then when you lean forward, they'll go back. And if you pay attention, you can find the place where it's right in the middle. Mm-hmm. And now if you take a breath, Dick, you'll feel your body tense up a little bit. And if you breathe out, your body will relax. And you can relax again.
Master the breath, master the shot when we're down on the range.
Exactly. You know what? It's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. When I taught these, I've got 2 medics, both of them special operations, one of them airborne, Mike Williams and Brennan Stopnick. They're now my CTO and my web technology director. Because they went through the first 6 weeks. Actually, they went through the first day and they went, holy smoke. Brennan, after 6 weeks, said to me, I asked him, I said, hey, how's your, and this is on our YouTube channel. He had made a little video of it. I said, how's it affecting you? He says, Jay, I've been going through some things with my wife and we're doing some, therapy and this gives me a tool when I'm starting, how it can be activating. I said, this gives me a tool.
You triggered very quickly.
And now he has a tool and he says to me, and he's done EMDR, ketamine treatment, all these different things that everything possible, talk therapy, ice baths, everything.
Can I ask you a question real quick? But have you noticed with your interactions in recovering veterans who've done certain types of jobs like we're discussing, have you noticed that they've been prescribed literally everything a doctor can throw them, and they turn down every one of them because they can't take it? They're so sick of it and it's not doing anything.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And
I just wanted to see if you've seen that, since we have no relationship or anything.
Absolutely, my friend. It's like my wife with the opioid, morphine, opioids, and marijuana. She couldn't stand being drugged. And it wasn't until she found this as a way to relax herself, to recover. And I mean, my wife's a different person. She's, she used to be a really active artist and then got hurt and then kind of collapsed into nothing. And now you can't, I can't stop her. She's painting and art, and her and her son just bought a 3D printer, and you know what I mean? They do all this stuff, they're back to living a life. And Brennan said to me, it used to be that I had this ball of springs all kind of compacted, and I would do like breathing therapy and it would blow it up. And then I'd have to go aside from my wife and my family and kind of pack it all back down and get it back to where I could go back to them. So the therapy seemed to open things up, but in a way that wasn't beneficial. And what he said to me was, Jay, now this gives me the ability to take them out one at a time, kind of look at them and go, do I have to think like that? No, I don't think I do. I could put it over here and not be. And why? Because, I used to be a very angry man, very angry. I would blow up. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be around me. And I had the guy who was the trainer at the Jupiter Medical Center was a 9th-degree black belt. And I had trained with him for a long time. And I thought he was a Buddha. He just walked through life without any stress, it seemed. And eventually I was doing classes with him, and we were doing weekend seminars and week-long seminars on these principles of mindfulness and practice. As I got better, but I still thought he was way better than I was at not getting upset. And one day I was with him, and he had to find this piece of paper that he couldn't find. And I watched his jaw start to tighten up because he couldn't find it. It was important. It was really important for the meeting we were going to. And then his shoulders started to go up. And I'm like going, oh, look, he's going to get mad. Oh, I got him. And then he stood up. He took a deep breath. He let the breath out. His whole body relaxed. He looked around my yard. And he said, isn't it interesting how things express themselves every day, Jay? And he recovered. And I went, wait a minute. And then I asked him about it. He said, oh, yeah, when you lose your temper, that's not something that's conscious. It's a reaction. You're now out of control. The goal is to remember that or notice that and have a way to cut it off. Simply. And that's what Harmonetiks does. It trains your nervous system to relax on the out breath. And I can tell you stories of how people have used that. Brennan, Mike, Dave Robertson.
Those are great examples you have shared. That's for sure. And
I did it. And I did it once in a traumatic thing in my job with the music people. I had a bunch of people quit, and my boss wanted everybody to be perfect. So he made me fire a guy that was slightly less than perfect, but it left me even more under the weather because he wasn't hiring anybody. And I finally lost my temper one day, pretty bad on the HR lady, because again, wasn't going to hire a person, and I was just freaking out. And the next day they brought me in the office and they were going to write me up. And I thought I was coming in to talk about a project, and I'm now the HR person, the consultant, the boss, his sister, and they want me to sign the letter acknowledging that I had lost my temper and acted in an unprofessional way. My mouth immediately went dry. My heart was pounding like a racehorse. I'm in crisis. I could lose my job here, right? It was a good job. I didn't want to lose the job. And I started to, I recognized it. I signed it. They're reading it to me, and I just aligned myself, and just like I had you do, and I'm breathing now. I'm calming down. And as they finished the letter, I turned to the consultant and I said, hey, you have a great way of talking about these kinds of things. I think that would be a good thing to use here. Now, if I was still panicked, I wouldn't have thought of that. then the consultant said, yeah, Jay, that would be appropriate. And then I used the technique that he had, which was just kind of just the facts, ma'am. And then what does it mean? And then how do we move apart, forward from here? And they had already given me their side. So I gave them my side. And one part of it was the boss saying, you need to fire him by this day. And I said, well, when you fired him, you know, this put me in a position that I couldn't, I'm now working 70 hours a week just to keep the work done. You've created this. It's not my fault. And he looks at the HR lady and says, I didn't say that, did I? You didn't understand it that way, did you? And she goes, yeah. And so now he's apologizing to me, right? And he's like, I didn't mean it. Oh my God. So if I hadn't been able to relax, nothing. I would have probably lost my temper and got fired, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Vet Talks, ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're just joining us now for the first time, we're here with Jay Van Schell, the Chief Executive Officer and Lead Mentor Pathfinder for the Harmonetiks Project, along with the Easy Breath program. Now, we were getting into some really good information there about how this technique, the Easy Breath, has been working and how the Harmonetiks Project has been working. Could you reiterate one more time for those just joining us, how this technique is, how you do this technique and how it benefits you as a veteran and changes your reaction to a response, so to speak?
Sure, Dick. It's very easy, actually. All you have to do is stand with your feet about shoulder width apart and take a breath. And once you feel that breath, you notice where it is in your body. That's just where you are right now. And then all you do is move your weight forward to your toes, and then you're breathing out, put your weight back in your heels. And you're just going to feel yourself going back and forth, and your awareness is on your feet. So you feel your weight like a line moving across your foot. And there's a certain point where you go from the front to the back, kind of like a seesaw, right? And what you want to do is each time you breathe in, go a little bit less forward of that line and a little bit less backwards of that line until you're standing right on that line. And now take a breath. And my question to you is, did it change?
It totally changed. I felt my energy shift. I felt some of some of the angst that maybe could come with doing a podcast like this kind of just melts away. So I say thank you for that. That was very.
Well, we're not done yet. We're not quite done yet.
Okay.
We're going to go from that midpoint, and we're going to find how to put the phone on the magnet, right?
Okay.
And this is the kidney 1 point, right? So you're going to move your weight forward on the in-breath to the ball of your foot, and then back to the midpoint. And somewhere in the middle, there's a sweet spot. And as you move back and forth, and this sweet spot will move depending on your day and where you are. But when you find it, it'll just feel different. And you kind of do the same things forward and back until you're standing on it, and then take another breath. And you'll notice that the breath probably changed again, didn't it? And you're smiling, right? So now we talked earlier about the wisdom of the wonder and the screaming, right? And you're just experienced the wonder. When you get into that spot, the wonder is what you have. And now I'm going to take you a little further. So just as you take a breath, let your body rise up like a balloon. And when you breathe out, just let it sink down. And if you're standing, you let your knees bend a little bit. And if you're not, you just feel your spine move. Breathing in, you go up. And breathing out, you go down. And just take your awareness, and this is the key. You take your awareness from the foot as you breathe in, and you move it up through your body all the way to the top of your head on the in-breath. And then you breathe out and you move it down. And what you feel is the tension of the in-breath followed by the relaxation of the out. And if you do this a little bit, maybe 4 or 5 breaths, you're beginning to influence your nervous system to relax. And so one more thing you can do if you really want to release yourself, bring yourself all the way up to the top of the breath, relax your jaw and your tongue, and you'll feel your shoulders relax as you breathe out, and you'll feel it go right down your body. Right? So we breathe in, we bring our awareness from the bottom of the feet to the top of the head, and from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. And what I
Wow.
always tell
I gotta
people,
say, before you say that, I gotta tell you, I just felt something that was really, really amazing. When I was doing that in that breath, I kind of, for some reason, there was a natural pause at the top of my breath, right?
yes,
And
yes, yes.
my body was saying, hey, hold that pause for just a minute. Just hold
You
that,
know,
focus
you,
on that. And when I did and let it out, that was a magnificent release.
well, now when you're in that pause, this is you actually you must be doing you must have done some yoga or some Tai Chi or something in your lifestyle. Have you done something like that?
I've been involved in mixed martial arts and
And
UFC and all that as well.
and also you used to be a gun used to fire a gun too, right? Well, you probably
I
still
was
do,
a
right?
weapons instructor in a
And
martial
there's that
arts and
and
combat instructor for the military.
there's that point where you breathe in and you kind of relax and shoot, right?
Yes.
What we teach people over time, as in probably the second or third, second or third part of the class, is at the top of the breath, we ask them to slow it down a little bit, soften it, and they get into that gap. And as they get more practiced in it, they start to relax the jaw, the shoulders, and the elbows as they reach the top. So the body almost becomes, the muscles become like a coat on the hanger. And then when you breathe out, you dissolve the hanger. And that's what you experienced, right? So you're train, and a lot of the military guys that I work with, the combat guys especially, when they start to learn this, they go, "This is like shooting a gun." Yeah, it's a skill you learn, but you learned it for a different purpose. So this is kind of the real power, because we learn to take every breath, and the in breath becomes the trigger to slow down and relax. And then the out breath is a release. And that's really getting into that yin energy, which is charging the battery and then letting everything go, which is, kind of like you eat food and you got to let it go.
Let it go. Well,
Right?
I want to thank you so much for sharing that and actually doing that with me here. That was pretty amazing. I really like what you have going on with your organization. I like where you're heading. So what does your organization need right now to be empowered to continue this mission?
Well, we've figured it out very structurally. We need about to take a group of 10 veterans through the 6-week program and do all the things we have to do, the website and the education piece and all the different trainers and what we want to do. It costs about $200 a class. So 10 veterans going through a 6-week program is about $1,200. So putting 10 veterans through and I always recommend the easy breath and the deepening. So that's $2,400. That's the healing part. And then once the veterans are in the, we're here to give it away. Our guides get paid $50 a class to do a class like this. The rest of the money's going into me flying around the country and doing what I'm doing, which is promoting the program, and our education director writing things. And we've got expenses. As my friend said, we all got to eat. So about $2,400 gives us 12 weeks for any veteran. Now, when you go to the training piece, that's about 90 hours and about 90 classes. And we've got our price down to $200 per class for 10 veterans, except for the final piece. It's $250 because we pay that veteran to be part of that class. And when he's teaching the class in his apprenticeship, he gets paid, because we want veterans to be able to make some money off this. So it costs us to put 10 veterans all the way through the program. It's about $22,000. So we've had one kind donation of about that much money. We're waiting for the second part because it was a matched donation. And that we now have one cohort in process. We've got 22 veterans who have come in the front door, and we've got we're hopeful that we will get 5 more guides out of that. We might get more because the people that are showing up now, we've iterated it enough that our message is better. So the ones coming in now know that there's an end result, but not everybody, it's not for everybody. It's
I was
not,
just
you
going to
know,
ask you that. I was just going to
not-
say, oh, this may not be for everybody, but there are a lot of veterans out there who have other skills and who have other savvy business understandings and networking abilities and things of that nature. How could those veterans, if they found this to be useful to, let's say, their community, contribute if they had an interest to empowering the organization and themselves at the same time while helping their brothers in arms?
well, we actually have 3 levels. Well, we have 5 levels. We have a friend. That's somebody who takes the class, right? And you know, the civilians can take the class too. They pay $200 for 6 weeks. That puts 10 veterans through the program, right? So come take the class, learn it. And then we have what we call a sustainability ambassador. These are people who are either out raising money or helping us find a place to teach a class, or going out and we'll actually train them how to do a half-hour lunch and learn and teach that piece that I just showed you, which is they give 10 minutes of introduction. They give that easy breath, just what I took you through, because that's only part of the program. That's not the whole program. That's our introduction. And then 10 minutes for questions and answers. And then those people are very key to us. And then, of course, the friends can also be people like, we have 3 guys right now who are working on our website. One of them is a guide, trained already. He's our web technology director. But we have 2 other guys that just are friends of his, and they've said, I'd like to help. So we need, you know, myself, I personally need I personally need somebody who does social media, because I'm the one doing it right now and I'm the worst one for it, you know? So we've got a lot of way to help, and all they got to do is reach out to me.
All right. Well, with that being said, why don't you go ahead and tell them where to reach out to you, where they can find the information on the Harmonetiks Project and the Easy Brief.
Okay, so it's the Easy Breath. We're actually coming out with a new website for the Easy Breath. That will be coming out in about 2 weeks, and I'm not sure yet. I believe it's the easybreath.org, right? It's not out there yet. My web director is doing it, but our website is right now www.theharmoneticsproject.org, and that Harmonetics is spelled HARMONETIKS. And everybody yells at me because it's hard to remember and hard to spell, but that's what Jeffrey called it 40 years ago. So it's about harmony, and that's where it is. My email is jvs@theharmoneticsproject.org. And I have no problem giving my phone number out and having people call me. Just please text me. You know, but my number, if you guys want to leave it into the program, is 860-329-3649. Please text me and say you're a veteran and you want to talk about Harmonetics, and I will definitely connect with you. And I also will send you and you may not want to put my phone number on it, but we can put a link. I use a Read AI, which is a connection thing through Zoom. And I have a link that you can put on the website that they can go to that and see my schedule and set up an appointment with me. That's probably a better way to do it. And I know you can edit out my phone number. I don't want to give my phone number out to everybody. So, but that link is really cool because they can see my schedule and they can do a half an hour with me, and I can give them the Easy Breath and then point them to a class either in their area or online.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jay. It was a pleasure having this discussion and you shedding light on some of the techniques that you're using and you've seen have positive impact in the veteran community. And we definitely want to help empower other veterans as well. So I look forward to this relationship that we've established, and I look forward to see what's coming in the future.
Well, Dick, I want to invite you to join us and come take the class. You know, you had a little taste of it, and you said to yourself, wow, that was different.
Yeah.
Come and
You know,
feel, come and do,
I will accept that invitation, and I will take this class, and I will be
invest.
an example
Yeah,
for others to see firsthand the impacts and the power of using Harmonetics and the Easy Breathe technique. It kind of
All
goes
right,
along
man.
with some of the other things I've been studying on the scripture piece with the patience versus the anger. You know,
yeah. Well, you know,
power of
it's,
patience, you stop spewing that wicked medicine.
yeah, yeah, you got it, my friend. And it's really, you know, it's simple as connect with yourself, relax, and release.
Yeah.
You know, you connect with your breath, your body, your mind, you relax, and then you release. And the more you do that, you know, we talk about the minimum effective dose of Harmonetics as you're going through your day. You know, things happen, life arises with the unexpected you did not choose and cannot avoid.
Right.
And then who you're going to be as you go through that. So when you're triggered, now you have a protocol. You just, oh yeah, feel myself getting like this.
You have your
Oh,
battle
wait a
drill
minute.
for being triggered.
That's an in breath. Oh,
Yeah.
connect, slow it down a little bit, relax relax the jaw, the shoulders, the elbows, and then release down into the ground. All of a sudden, you're not going like this. You're coming back down. You know, it's yeah.
Well,
It's
thank
easy.
you. I greatly appreciate it. I will definitely be reaching out.
All right, Dick. Great to meet you. Great to talk to you. And I hope we talk again soon. Take
We
care.
will. All right. Take care. Thank you.
All right. No problem.